So my name is Alane. Some people used to know me as Alane Schmidlap. That's a mouthful. And then I was Day, and now I'm Alane Rozelle. And so today I wanted to start with something called postmodernism. And some of you may have heard that term, some not. I bet Dale is probably real familiar with it. But we found this postmodernism is difficult to define because to define it would violate the postmodernist premise that no definite terms, boundaries, or absolute truths can exist. So this is an article, postmodernists have varying beliefs and opinions and issues. Are nationalism, politics, religion, and war the result of a primitive human mentality? Is truth an illusion? How can Christianity claim primacy or dictate morals? The list on concerns goes on and on, especially for those affected by a postmodern philosophy and lifestyle. For some, the questions stem from lost confidence in a corrupt Western world. For others, freedom from traditional authority is the issue. Their concern centers around the West's continued reliance on ancient and traditional religious morals, nationalism, capitalism, inept political systems, and unwise use and adverse impact of promoting trade-offs between energy resources and environment for economic gain. Have you all checked out your carbon footprint lately? Have you been chastised for having too big of a carbon footprint? According to the postmodern worldview, the Western world society is an outdated lifestyle disguised under impersonal and faceless bureaucracies. The postmodernist endlessly debates the modernist about the Western society needing to move beyond the primitiveness of ancient traditional thought and practices. And it goes on. So my question today is then, how are we facing this idea of no absolutes, no authority? It's become far more than attack. This is an all-out global war on truth. We know that. It's an all-out global war on what is true. Nothing can be, everything is, okay, so how many of you remember, I think it was the 70s, a book, I'm okay, you're okay? And then I remember a statement came out later that I'm not okay, you're not okay, but that's okay. But it's not. I'm not okay, and you're not okay, and that's not okay, is it? And that's what has been lost in postmodernism, is that we're not all okay. Or you've heard about, oh, that's a dysfunctional family. You know what? We're all dysfunctional, right? We are all dysfunctional families. We're all dysfunctional people without God. And so we've taken on the thing that I want to say right now that before I forget is that we have got what I found in postmodernism, or I find like in the church or with young people or any of us today, we have let churchianity ideas and worldly ideas affect us instead of the church and the truth affecting the world and churchianity. In other words, we need to be making our experience out there fit the Bible, fit Scripture, fit truth, rather than we've been taking the Bible and saying, oh, we've been making experience affect how we interpret the Bible. And it needs to be that the truth, the Bible needs to interpret our experience. That's what I'm trying to say. So a lot of times I've seen people say, well, I read that book about the little boy that died and went to heaven for 30 minutes or an hour, whatever that is, and it's been made into a movie and people are all gaga about this. Yeah. And I had a discussion with a friend a year ago, and she said, I was showing her scripture and showing her scripture and showing her scripture, and she said, but I read the book and I saw the movie and I believe it. So you can't discuss sometimes because their experience is overriding the truth. And we have got to make sure that our truth is overriding the world. We have got to take our experiences and make them fit Scripture. I don't care if you know somebody who supposedly went to heaven when they died and came back. Make it fit Scripture. Our experience has to fit the truth. So going on that, we need to challenge everything that's said to us. Even like I said last night, you see these little nice Christian-like statements that somebody even famous, A.W. Tozer, said. So if I can remember the quote that I saw that someone had posted A friend of mine posted on Facebook, oh, isn't this great? So Satan doesn't see the sheep hiding behind the shepherd, but he's not afraid of the sheep behind the shepherd. He's only afraid of the shepherd, so stay close to Jesus. And I thought, sounds good. Sounds good. But have we not been told we're supposed to be warriors? Didn't Jesus attack Satan back with Scripture? Shouldn't we be? Haven't we been given weapons of warfare? So why are we hiding behind the sheep? Or the shepherd, excuse me? Why are we hiding behind his tunic, so to speak? No, the devil should be just as afraid of us as he ever was of Jesus. That's my point. So, going on to this next generation then, I feel like the church, there's a little parable about how do you cook a frog. If you throw him into the hot water, he's going to jump right out. Throw him back in, he's going to jump right out because he's going from nature into that hot water, and boy, it shocks him. But you put the frog in the cold water and then slowly turn up the heat, and he just adjusts supposedly, and then he just slowly cooks. I feel like maybe that's where we're at. We've been caught flat-footed. We've been caught like the frog in the cool water, and it's been warming up on us and getting hotter and hotter, and all of a sudden we're like, oh no, now what do we do? And we should have been ahead of the game, but we haven't been. So are we training the next generation to confront these battles? I think that's where we're at. We have not been training our next generation, and I'll speak even in my, my own situation. So I had a Christian home with a Christian husband, and we were teaching the children scripture and songs and everything. And then my first husband, he got, Hebrews 12, I'm trying to remember. Hebrews 12 talks about the bitter root in Esau, and by it many are defiled. And my first husband got something in his craw that festered against the church, that they weren't doing what he thought they should do. Leadership wasn't doing what they thought he thought they should do. And it festered, so he decided to quit church. I'm not going to go to church anymore, I'll just worship at home. And then, well, God wasn't doing what he thought God should do. So he's mad at God. Well, if you turn your back on God, I mean, what he got left, of course you're going to turn your back on anything else, because if you can't have a good relationship with the creator of the universe, I doubt if you're going to have a good relationship with your wife, right? So basically then it didn't need me anymore either. But I started out with this Christian home and training the children in what was right and wrong, and training the children what is the truth. But they were pretty young when my first husband left, which sent me into a real tailspin. So I had quite a few years where I really didn't know who I was. A lot of depression, a lot of real difficulty. It was just more of an existence, try to get through life. And turns out actually my children became my lifeline, really, besides God. But I say this because I missed an important period in their life there where I could have been, thank you, Carlos. I missed an important period, I'm losing it, a period in their life where I needed to be trained. They were going into their teens, and I needed to be training them in how to defend the truth. And I lost that period. I did go to Youth with a Mission. I did spend 3 years in Youth with a Mission. I think it's a great organization, but you have to go in prepared. I think you have to go in with your eyes open. You have to know what you believe, or otherwise you are going to become affected with Trinitarianism or speaking in tongues, which I'm okay with, but or going to heaven when you die, or different things, what I'm trying to say. You're going to be infected. And after my 3 years in YWAM, this was all before marriage, I did realize that, I know I believe there's one God, but I don't know how to defend it. And that's how I ended up at Oregon Bible College in my late 20s, because I had heard one side, and it sounds good. I mean, that whole egg thing, or about the water, I mean, like, it sounds good. Like, I don't know, they make it sound right. And then I'm going, I don't know. So, yeah, fortunately, went to the Bible college, heard speakers like Anthony, Kent Ross, Bob Jones, all the others, all the good, strong stalwarts there, and began to be able to understand, read the Bible, and see it for myself. But it says that I fell down on the job in training my own children. So when I sent my two oldest went separately to YWAM in Texas. But I told them ahead of time. I gave my son scripture and stuff. But again, you know, you're around all these other young people and it's exciting and they're all saying different from what you've been told. And so my children's minds have been turned. And then they went, and then not just from YWAM, but then they went to the postmodern college. And that's where, I think that's where we really fall down in having trained our children properly, is when they go to college, they don't know the postmodernism, the philosophies, the sociologies, the psychologies. My daughter and her husband live on the east side of Michigan, Detroit, Dearborn area, and they went to Wayne State College, and they were exposed to all of the issues of, you know, anti-racism and women's rights and LGBTQ and on and on and on. And I have children now who are marching in gay rights parades in favor of gay rights. And that really hurts. That's hard. But they make their choices. I have to realize they make their choices, but I also realize that I may have fallen down on the job 10 years ago or 15 years ago. They're going to be 30 in March, Barbara. Barbara was there when they were born. So my mom was there. So anyway, so I think that what I didn't train them in, what we're not training our children in, is what is true, how to recognize the lies, how to reason, how to defend. In their minds, we're all the same. It doesn't matter what church group they're in, or maybe church is outdated, like the postmodern statement says. And I also think that maybe we're not dealing, and I don't know for sure, but like I said, in our school where I'm at, and it's not a Christian school, of course, but many, I would say the majority of the instructors and administrators are strong Christians. But we are not dealing with the issues. We are not. So, as I said, you know, we have students coming into our office or crying, talking about cutting themselves, talking about they just want to die, and we're just going, oh, that's too bad, honey. The self-esteem movement, it's been an awful thing. It's been shown. Like I said, we are not okay. So it's not okay to say to this child, it's okay, honey, whatever you want to be, whatever you think you are, it's okay. I see all of the different morphisms walking down my hallway. It's not okay. And yes, we accept, we say we love you, but it's not okay to not be right in the truth. That's not okay. So how are we facing, what are we telling our children? What are we saying about real godlike love, about right versus wrong? What are we saying about these issues of violence, suicide, homosexuality, LGBTQ, suicide, bullying, divorce, identity issues, homelessness, hunger, racism? What are we saying about them? Are we just saying, well, I believe in the kingdom, I believe in one God, that's it. I don't know about your problems. But I think we have to integrate that. I'm not sure exactly all the answers on that, but it has to be integrated. We have to make our truth has to be relevant too. Jesus was relevant. He was dealing with the issues of the times. So these are all parts of the warfare, like I talked about spiritual warfare last night. As I said, I was raised until I was about 22, no, I'd have been a little older, 22, 23, I didn't believe in Satan. I didn't believe Satan was a real person, because that's what I was taught. And it seems ridiculous now, but I think that we're still doing that same thing in a way. We're not recognizing Satan's influence in the world. And so, and what we're doing is infighting in our local church bodies. How are we tearing ourselves down? Gossip, criticisms, backbiting, factions, dissensions, like Paul talked about in the church. Between church bodies, we have church splits over small issues. Maybe even a big issue, but can we not resolve these things because the world's watching? We've lost hold of 1 Corinthians 13 type of love, of humility. Do we insist on my way or the highway? We've got to start laying down our pettiness, our claim to rights, it's my right. We've got to lay down our hurt feelings. Because Satan's feeding all this. He's rejoicing over it. Satan doesn't need to throw some big disaster on us, or disease, because he could do that, but he's like, you guys are doing a great job just destroying yourselves. That's Satan's tactic here, is watch us destroy ourselves by our pettiness. And so that then comes back to love. And again, our children are watching that too, and our youth are watching that, and they're not seeing the church as relevant. They're not seeing the church as loving. They're not seeing Christians as loving or caring about them. And so then they don't think that truth matters. They don't think that we have anything right to say that is necessary. The devil lies to us, we accept the lie, and we make choices. The devil didn't make us do it, but we have made our choices. So I think Tracy's got some great things to say, but I want us to really think about, what are we doing the most we can for our young people? Are we getting them ready to face the world? And I think we have Misha here, who is a great example of being raised in a home where he is being trained to defend his truth. Thank you, Tracy.